We're live. Back in the saddle. Episode 52?
51.
51.
Yep.
Episode 51. Beautiful.
Yeah, we needed to get back outside.
Yeah.
I think our viewers they could see us in the bright light.
Get out of there. That's not your coffee.
They could see all our wrinkles and crust in our eye. I like doing the podcast in the morning.
Yeah, I feel a little bit more alert in the morning. Kind of a little bit more focused and kind of get into some good conversation because we're active. And so normally if we're kind of catching this podcast after a workout, after playing golf, whatever, the energy's not there.
Yeah, you only have so much energy to use. And, at the end of the day, it's like you've been beaten down by society so long.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do.
Only so much you could take.
We played a little bit of golf yesterday.
Yeah, it was a great time.
It's been a pretty eventful week, I feel like. You went to the playoff game of the Warriors.
Game 1.
Rockets.
Which was a great game to go to. And I saw my goat Steph there. And it was great, man. Got the dub. And Houston's a pretty cool place. So, yeah, I enjoyed it.
Is that your first playoff game ever? Any sport?
No, I've been to a couple Mavs playoff games. I think just round 1. I've never been round 2 or anything further.
Like deeper in the playoffs?
Yeah, have you?
I've been to some deep playoff hockey.
Dang.
I don't know. I mean, shit, we went to the
Cotton Bowl?
The Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, that was sick.
There's this funny, you know who John Gruden is?
Yeah.
There's this hilarious clip on YouTube when they did like the Hard Knocks and he was coaching for the Raiders.
Yes.
And he's like speaking to the guys. He's like, "We're not looking to go to the Cotton Bowl or the Blue Bonnet Bowl or the Toilet Bowl. Looking to win the Super Bowl." Yeah.
That reminds me of the clip where he's telling the QB he's got this super complicated play.
Yeah.
It's like banana loop around the end and tie it up with the lasso. And the quarterback's like, all right, let's go. And he keeps messing
He's
it
like,
up.
X right, banana peel.
Yeah.
He's like, what is it again? It's complicated, remembering all those plays.
And he's like, fuck God. Puts his head down.
But Steph looked masterful.
Very masterful. I got there an hour before the game started. So I walk in and go to my seat, and I'm like, all right, I'm watching some of the younger Warriors get warmed up. Some of the Rockets players, Dylan Brooks, Fred VanVleet. And then I see this guy in a hood come out. The hooded man. And he was, it was like if you weren't paying attention, you wouldn't have noticed. Because he was kind of like low key.
Yeah.
And so he walks out and does this whole ball handling drill, warm up with his trainer. And
does he have a specific trainer, or is it just whoever the Warriors have?
No, he's got a specific guy, some white guy. I don't really know his name, but he's. I guess Steph likes his energy.
Yeah, and shit.
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't like you, you're not going to be doing that job. But
no.
Yeah, it was masterful watching him warm up. And one thing that struck me, so I went down closer to the Warriors side so I could get a good look at him. Mm-hmm. And it was the emotion, just seeing a player that you see on TV all the time. It was kind of surreal to see them in person. I felt that way with Joe Rogan, too, when I saw him perform. I was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's weird to finally see these people in their human form versus always on TV or on a screen.
It is weird. I wonder what the explanation is for that. But Steph was bigger than I thought. Like, he had his arms, biceps. I was like, dang, this dude's, like, he's kind of...
He's a professional athlete.
Yeah.
For 10 years now? 12? He's been in the league for a good amount of time now.
2009.
Gotta get this coffee.
So, yeah, I watched him warm up. He was doing his shooting drill. And one thing that struck me as I was sitting there just, like, grinning, I was just, like, sitting there, like, a psycho. If it was WNBA and I was doing that, I'd be flagged. But it's like everyone's watching him. Literally everyone in the arena it's like when he gets out there, he's doing his drills. He's the only one on their side, so he's obviously the best player. So he gets to block out that time. But how locked in he is, like he did not look into the crowd at all.
Jeez.
Up until like, yeah, because you imagine like he probably knows that he like garners all that attention.
Yeah, this is not his first rodeo.
Yeah, and so he does his warm up, and it's just he does 3-pointers, and he keeps taking a step back all the way to half court, hits a half court shot, and walks in, and yeah, it was awesome, man. It was so worth it.
Yeah,
You can go see. If you love a player that much, you go see him in person. It's worth it. Pay a price tag for it, but
yeah,
live sports, there's nothing better.
it's nothing better, and especially, I mean, like, there's kind of this mystique around, Steph Curry, the greatest shooter of all time, 3-time finals champ, or 4-time.
He's got 4.
4. I think he's the MVP, at least 2.
Yeah, unanimous 1 year.
Just like someone who completely changed the game of basketball for us.
Yes.
It's very, few and far between where you have a athlete who completely like transcends a sport. And I feel like we've been pretty blessed from kind of later part of the 2000s to the 2010s to where we're at now. I mean, across every sport, we have seen like some of the top people ever, which is like pretty crazy to think about because, every generation will have a player.
Yeah.
But I feel like sports are kind of changing where the guys that we have now are like the true OGs of a lot of these sports.
Yes. Like LeBron,
Steph. I mean, KD is still playing.
Yeah. I think
Russell Westbrook is still playing. And I remember watching him when we went to Oklahoma City versus the Mavs, and it was that OKC team. And, like, he is an unbelievable player, too, so athletic.
Yeah.
I mean, we got Aaron Judge, we got Shohei, Mike Trout. I mean, just, like, some of these players that, like, when it's all said and done, it's like, man, that guy was one of the best to ever step on the court or pick up a basketball or pick up a baseball bat. And I mean, I think that's pretty fucking sweet sometimes.
Yeah, we get to sit and just be observers and watch the greatness from it. Yeah, like even LeBron's still doing his thing.
Yeah, he dropped 38 last night.
Yeah, and he's 42 or something? He's 40?
Yeah, 40 something.
40 plus. Like it's incredible. It just shows like the science behind these athletes.
Yeah.
Like maybe athletes a couple decades ago couldn't go that hard or that long because of they didn't have the information about nutrition or like, science-backed exercise.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's super cool to see. Yeah.
We need to go to a playoff football game. That needs to be the next one. Once the Bears make Super Bowl after the NFL draft. Oh, yeah, I do kind of want to just talk about real quick.
Yeah, let's go over it.
If you've been following the NFL draft, whether you're a Cowboys fan for a lot of our Texans out there or you got another team you're supporting, there's been a lot of great players taken. I think some trades and questionable picks and whatnot. Shaduer Sanders is still not off the board. And we're just finished round 4, I think. Or round 3.
That's
I think
shocking.
yesterday was round 2 and 3. And this, if you haven't heard of Shaduer Sanders, son of Deion Sanders, quarterback at Colorado, just had his number retired. Only after 2 seasons of playing there, which...
Number retired?
Yeah, they retired him and Travis Hunter's number, which a lot of people were like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, Tim Tebow does not even have his number retired at Florida. And he was...
Come on. He was one of the greatest.
Tim Tebow is one of the greatest.
Yeah. That's so crazy.
And so there has already been and there will continue to be conversations around Shaduer Sanders and draft and all these different things. And there's going to be a lot of noise. A lot of people are saying it's like racism and it's like they took one black player over another and that's racist. But
that makes no sense. But
a lot of it's kind of funneled back down to the topic of humility. And, you got a lot of these kids now with the NIL, and they're making a shit ton of money. Sometimes more money than what some of these entry-level NFL players are making.
I believe it. Yeah.
And so with money comes a little bit of leverage, comes a little bit of power. And so I think some of these players go into the draft and thinking, oh, I'm the shit. I don't need to do these meetings. I don't need to, humble myself to these coaches and these organizations. And I think Shaduer Sanders is getting humbled. I think people were like, hey, this is the big leagues. Like, we're not going to be putting up with this shit.
Yeah.
And I think he's still going to get an opportunity to play, whether he goes undrafted and, gets signed as a free agent. But it's going to be an interesting career path for him and what's going to come out of this. So
yeah, it's going to be exciting to follow because, you hear about him. I mean, I heard about him, and I don't even watch college football, so he's a great player.
Yeah.
Then you think about, what's the reason why these teams aren't taking a risk on him? You got to think about, like you said, humility. Is it maybe his dad? They don't want to deal with that side of things because his dad is very vocal.
He also didn't
involved.
even participate in the draft, like any of the combine stuff.
Shaduer didn't?
Yeah. And a lot of you'll get some of these players now who they won't do the combine. They'll do their own pro day at their school, that's been going on for a while. But you start to see more and more of guys opting out of combine, participation. And if you're looking at it from the scouts' perspective, it's like, well, this guy's here and you're not.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're only going to take the evals that you've seen. And so, yeah, you can look at game film and, okay, I've seen this player on TV before, but if you're not there in front of these scouts, then you can't blame them for picking someone who maybe on tape does not look as skilled, but, they know that player more. They've had conversations with him. And so
I didn't know he didn't do any of that. That makes you think, if you're his agent and you're telling him, yeah, it's probably best we don't get involved with the pro day. We don't really, your vertical's not that high. Yeah. You're not the fastest guy. And you're 6'2" listed, but maybe you're not.
Yeah. I think it's just like if you want to, you got to showcase your skill set if you want to get to the top.
That is weird. I mean, I guess they're banking on, all right, we already have so much game film. We had a good season. This is probably your best thing. It's just to sit back and see, but clearly he's fallen projection-wise.
I think he's going to become like a big enemy in the NFL. If wherever he ends up, there will always be people like cheering against him. Just because people don't like that super cocky player who is in their face and flexing, it's always like, what time is it? He's got like his $500,000 watch on, Richard Mille. And just that rubs people the wrong way sometimes. When you think about the average viewer, it's not the millionaire. It's like, Joe Schmo who's working his 9 to 5 and picking up a 6-pack on his way home to go watch Sunday Night Football, and he doesn't want to be disrespected by some kid flexing a watch. So
then it comes to the question you really haven't even done anything, especially in the pros. So like you said, like the blue collar worker, they don't relate to those guys that think they're the shit that haven't done anything.
Yeah.
That contrast heavily to Steph Curry. Steph is the most humble person, and it has to go back to his upbringing and also his faith in God. He's humbled by him, so he's not the braggadocious guy, and he shows some emotion, but it's very rare.
Yeah, that is kind of wild when you think about, best shooter of all time is probably one of the most humble players ever.
100%.
Which you definitely do not see. He would have every right to be in everyone's face and be like, yeah, I'm the fucking man.
Yeah. It's like this player's not comparable to Steph, in the sense of accomplishments, but Steph's evil alter ego is like Trae Young.
Yeah.
Like Trae Young's talented. He's a great player. When he hits threes, he's letting the crowd know.
Yeah.
He's doing the shimmy ice tray.
Yeah, ice tray.
So Shaduer, I mean, it goes into kind of the David Goggins point I wanted to make about, affirmations versus action. Kind of transitions into that because Shaduer is getting all this money and all this accolades, and he's starting to think he's the shit. And now he's being humbled. I mean, it's it's tricky because they're so confident in their ability, but then they really haven't done anything. I mean, it's kind of frustrating.
Yeah. And it's you never want to cheer against someone. Like, you can be a fan of one team and not like a player on the other. But cheering for someone's personal downfall, I think that's not cool.
Too far.
Like, I've never met Shaduer Sanders. I've never met anyone of the Deion Sanders family. Sure, they can rub me the wrong way, but like, I want the kid to be successful. But I think it's, when you're joining the big leagues, you're dealing with professional people, and you kind of have to fall in line. It's not an outlier league, kind of like how the NBA can be sometimes, because it's a lot more one-on-one.
Yeah.
Like NFL, it's like you got 22 guys on your starting team. It's like those are the dudes that you're riding with, and everyone has to step up and play their role. And if you've got one guy that's trying to play hero ball, like, that becomes so evident, and you're gone like that.
Yeah, it's like the biggest meritocracy, the NFL.
Yeah.
It's like, if you literally cannot produce, we don't care how big your brand is.
Yeah.
You're not helping our team.
Yeah.
Which I guess there's kind of a spectrum in that, because like, what if there is a player that's so like popular and famous, like world famous, it's like, but he's not the best? Like, do you take that guy?
Bless you. But yeah, to go into I guess to dive a little bit deeper in that affirmations versus actions. I know we were kind of talking about it last night, and if you guys haven't, heard, if you're not sure what an affirmation is, positive self-affirmation has been proven to be like a really good tool to just help create some mental clarity, some momentum towards your goals, what you're looking to achieve personally, professionally. It covers all aspects of life, and it can just be as simple as you're driving to work and, turning down the music and having a conversation about yourself, about what you're looking to accomplish that day. And, hey, I want to be more positive. I want to, keep my temper cool, or, whatever you're going through. They can be really, really good, positive things.
Yes, it can be very helpful.
Talking is one thing. Implementation and action and execution is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of what Goggins was talking about. And he said what his resume is his action.
Yeah, his daily resume is what gives him confidence. Like, he does a huge 12-mile run first thing in the morning. Which 99% of people will never be able to do. Yeah, and he even admitted, he's like, I don't want to do this. It's what I got to do. And then he goes to the gym after. And so that foundation and doing all those things, doing the right things, is what gives him the confidence. And he kind of contrasted it to like certain motivational guys. It's like, you need to get in the mirror and slap your chest and say, I'm the best. And, certainly that's a way to do it, but it's like, if there's nothing behind that, it's kind of like a false confidence, which falls into like delusion in a way. Yeah,
and I think that's kind of I feel like that's certainly something that's a bigger problem in 2025, where you've got all these self-help books, there's all these productivity tools, there's so much motivation and things you can use to get yourself going. But the reality is, you can have all the calendars, all the planners, all the cool equipment, but if you're not out actually doing it, that shit means nothing.
Yeah.
And so I think David Goggins is right, because he's got his own way to go about things, but we're not David Goggins, and not everyone is you and me either. So
true.
You got to find what works for you and what is consistent, because even if it's the wrong thing, but you're doing it consistently, you're going to find a good answer.
Yeah.
So just do something consistently. I feel like that's something I should probably be better at, like some of that positive self-affirmation. Because shit can just get a little crazy sometimes. Life can get a little crazy.
Definitely.
Gotta stay grounded.
You got to stay grounded and have some sort of faith, whatever you want it to be. I think that's a huge factor in self-improvement. But, yeah, like, you're the only one that's in your mind. You're in your mind literally 24/7, 365. And if that, internal voice, you have a choice. Is it going to be a positive voice, or is it going to be a negative voice? So like everyone makes mistakes, I think, and like some people will make a mistake, and I've been in this part, and then you just kind of dwell on like, dang, why did I do that? I'm such an idiot. Like, and you just got to remember, like, dude, it's part of life to make mistakes, and you just want to stay positive in your mind, and kind of reframe it. So I think circling back to Shadour, like if he's in his head like, damn, I'm not as great as I thought I was or whatever, if he could just reframe that in his mind, like, wow, I got a lot of work to do, but I'm excited, and you know what? I'm going to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
So maybe he turns out to be fucking elite.
It could be a dog.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Maybe that's what he needed.
Yeah.
Everyone's blowing smoke up his ass.
I mean, that is true. Like, he's
Humbled.
been the talk of the town since he was at Jackson State. I mean, his family's kind of always been under a microscope just because of his dad's success and notoriety. And
It's big shoes to fill.
it is big shoes to fill. And I feel like, how often do we see someone so successful in college and have immediate success into the NFL or just whatever professional sport? It's not.
It's rare.
It's rare. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it could have been the thing that he needed, just disguised in a different way, which that's a tough pill to swallow. I mean, you're kind of getting embarrassed a little bit on national television and everyone's talking about you. And yeah, I mean, he's either going to take that and, yeah, fuck it, I'm going to prove everyone wrong, or
Yeah.
hunker down and, oh, poor me. But
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. I hope on Sundays in a few years he's up there shredding it.
Yeah, I hope he does great. Just because, like, all the media hype is one thing, but, like, the clips I've seen of his dad and him, like, I think they're good people.
Yeah.
Deep down.
And it kind of goes back to some of the, I feel like we're getting on a lot of sports topics, but sports is the great unifier, and it's really easy to kind of see some of these themes play out.
Yes. Reflects life.
Like, you think about, like, the Ball family, LeVar Ball, LiAngelo,
yeah.
LaMelo, LeVar, yeah.
Being the dad.
And I remember kind of growing up and people were talking shit about LeVar, and man, he's so hyper obsessed with his kids. And I mean, you think about just like having a good father figure to want his kids to be successful, and you can certainly see the same thing with Dion. It's like, I want my son to be successful, and he's going to do everything in his power to make it happen. And I mean, you have to respect the hell out of that, and give it a chance to actually see the fruit, reap the fruit.
Yeah.
It's not everything's just like that, and sometimes it takes some time, and people don't like unconventional.
True.
And so you just got to respect the process.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, so it's day 3 of the draft.
Day 3.
All right, we're fingers crossed for our homie Chase Lunt.
Yep. UConn tackle, big right tackle, should be going here today at some point.
Behemoth of a man.
Yeah. And that's the other thing real quick, because
Giant.
you got to see some of these NBA players up front pretty close and personal. These people are the 0.00001% of the population.
Yeah.
Like, if you were 6'7", 350 pounds, like there's really no one out there competing.
Put a helmet on.
Yeah, lace up those cleats because you're getting on the field. I mean, it's
a gift.
Yeah, it is a gift. It's
a
unbelievable
gift.
how big some of these people can be, and the athletic prowess that they have, and being able to run and jump and push and press. And I mean, they're like modern day gladiators.
Yeah, and they're entertaining everyone at their own expense sometimes, especially football. Football is such a physical sport, and UFC, same way. It's like you're putting it on the line, risking your own well-being for the glory, for the entertainment value for everyone, for obviously getting paid for it too.
Yeah.
But then, it circles back to Steph Curry again. It's like, this dude is, 6'3" maybe, and just like not what you would think is like, oh, he's a skinny guy, like lanky dude, like, all right. But man, I think it increases how well he's done just based on he wasn't given the gifts of like a LeBron James.
Yeah.
If Steph was 6'7", 250.
He'd be a different player for sure.
Yeah, so it just changes things. Like Steph is given a gift in another way, but
Yeah.
yeah. I saw this thing. Well, first of all, did you see the tweet of Kawhi at the press conference?
Oh, about the Gatorade?
Gatorade, yeah.
I did see that.
Shout out to Kawhi, man.
Yeah. So what yeah, because normally at press conferences, a lot of those sponsors are Coca-Cola, Gatorade, Monster, Pepsi.
Yeah.
And so what, he was sitting up there at the podium
Yeah,
and
he just took them off.
he's like, don't be drinking that.
Yeah, this kid shouldn't be drinking this.
Yeah.
He don't give a fuck. He's not sponsored by Gatorade.
Well, this goes back into, I've been saying this for years. All these commercials that they have these professional athletes in, they don't eat that garbage.
Yeah, no,
like
Mickey D's.
Yeah, McDonald's commercials, Taco Bell commercials, fucking Subway.
Yeah.
Like, they're not eating that garbage.
They got personal chefs.
And I find it pretty disingenuous, honestly, that you get these guys that are getting paid, a lot of money in these sponsorship deals to, market products that are bad.
It's inauthentic, for sure.
So then, Kawhi taking that off, is that the step in the right direction?
I do agree. I think it is. Because, yeah, Gatorade literally has, we
It's
go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah, ton of sugar, ton of artificial things, red dye, yellow 6, whatever it is. It's a bunch of fake garbage.
Yeah, corn syrup. When you think about it, the Gatorade company has literally brainwashed people to believe that it is a healthy product.
Yeah.
And most people think it is. I'm feeling dehydrated, grab me a Gatorade or a Powerade.
Yeah.
It's just the knowledge that they kind of need to break out of that and think, yeah.
And it could be a good drink for people that are healthier and can, I guess, manage certain things better than someone who's more metabolically sick, I guess. But
it goes against exactly what an athlete is. An athlete's wanting to perform at the highest level, and they're so conscious about everything that goes in their body. But literally on this one product, they don't even care.
Yeah. That's why it's when the Prime drink came out.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Beastie Snacks. And it's as soon as someone kind of hits the mainstream, it's well, I got to create food products now.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's
greedy.
It is greedy. And I think it's kind of gross because a lot of that shit is just bad. And only because it has their name on it. You got little Timmy at the grocery store. Mom, I want the Beast Snacks.
I'll slap my kid.
Yeah. And it's just
eat some raw liver.
Yeah. We need Liver King. So, yeah, that's always bothered me every time I see those commercials, and I'm just I know you're not fucking eating that, and it's, it's almost like the same thing as all those pharmaceutical commercials. It's always in your face, and it's dude, just shut up. I'm not gonna buy this. I'm not gonna take this pill. I'm not gonna do that. Let me live. Damn it.
Yeah, for real. I wonder if there'd be a product in the future. Or a TV service, you pay for YouTube TV, but you pay an extra because you don't want to see any commercials.
I don't know if that'll ever happen.
Shoot, I would freaking consider it.
Yeah.
Because it invades, it's just being a person now, you're so stimulated. Everything that's going on. Your phone's buzzing. You're being advertised to, 24/7. They would do it 24/7 if they could. And even commercials, it's when you want to sit down and enjoy something, I guess that's just part of our capitalistic society.
And that kind of funnels into something I wanted to talk about that affects all of us and will affect all of us, especially if you plan on having kids and you're looking to just always kind of get an edge up in the world. But the conversation around, there's a few things to discuss here with the education system and the way that we kind of manage our children throughout the day, and the influence of pharmaceuticals on children, especially in the schooling system, related to ADHD, to
yes,
attention deficit hyperactive disorder. That's what ADHD is. And I know there's it's kind of on a spectrum, the same way with a lot of these like cognitive, quote unquote, illnesses
Right. Yeah.
or disorders. ADHD for one person can look a completely different way for another. And so we're not saying that this is just uniform by any means, but it is really interesting to think about. And so I did some research on this, and kind of going back into the 90s and the 2000s, we saw this super big surge of ADHD diagnoses in the schooling system.
Really?
And in the 1990s, it was 3%. By the time we got to the year 2000, 8%. And where we're at currently, as of 2022, it said 11.4% of children between ages 3 and 17 were diagnosed with ADHD and put on some type of medication.
Yeah, stimulant, Adderall, Vyvanse.
You want to guess which percentage is males and which percentage is females?
Yeah, I know swings heavy male.
Yeah, 15% of males within the same age range, 3 to 17, and 8% female. So it showed that men were young boys were about 3 to 4 more times to be diagnosed with ADHD. And so this kind of goes back. If you think about, we're a little bit far removed from elementary school and junior high, but if you think about how those days were structured, right? You go into class. Some schools start at 7, some are like 8:30.
Yeah.
First thing you do is sit down.
Yep.
Sit down. We're going to start learning.
Learn the lesson plan.
Quote unquote learning.
Math.
And you're going to open up this computer. You're going to work. You're in these classrooms, fluorescent lighting. Boom. Okay, 4 hours later, hey, you get your lunch. You get 30 minutes of lunch. And then sometimes you may get recess. Maybe not. And that used to be a form of punishment, I remember growing up. Like if you were a bad kid in class, no recess for you.
Oh,
you're
my
going to sit inside. Or you're going to sit at the lunch table and watch the other kids go outside and run around and play. And then you finish that, 30 minutes. Okay, we're going to go finish the day. You got another 3-4 hours before you can go home. And then you're going to do homework.
Yeah.
And you just think about, one, how terrible that structure is. Yeah. And you wonder why. And this is kind of how it parlays into a lot of these ADHD diagnoses is, and you've got 6 years old to 14-year-old kids in these classrooms, and it's hard for them to sit down. Yeah. It's hard for them to sit down. It's hard for them to focus, and you see this a little bit more on the male side than you do the women's side. And they kind of talked about the difference between ADHD from men to women, and women have what they call inattentive ADHD, which is more of a quiet, personal daydreaming, where men are more like attentive, hyper-attentive, kinetic ADHD, meaning
moving
they
around.
need to move, they're fidgeting a lot.
Yes.
And so I always remember these terms being described for kids as disruptive or, not being able to focus. And I don't think that means that that's a bad student. It's just like the system that we are using to educate these kids is wrong. And so then you get this 9-year-old kid who really just wants to go outside and run around and do all these things, and he's having trouble sitting in class. The teacher's going to then talk to the parents, hey, we need to have a
meeting with
Tim. John he's not focusing in class, he's fidgeting a lot, we're going to dose him up with some fucking Adderall. And these parents don't know any better, and it's kind of fearful, thinking, man, my kid's not going to make it through school. He's struggling. We got to get him on medication to get him to focus. And then they just turn like fucking brain dead.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge tragedy, and no one really talks about it, to be honest. And I think one part of like the school schedule that kind of stuck out to me was always like after the class, like the bell would ding, 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 and then everyone files up and runs out into the next class, and the bell is kind of like the assembly line bell. So I think it conditions you to become a worker. The whole school system does, to sit there and do something and become a worker. But the whole system's screwed. First of all, like Adderall is methamphetamine in a different form. So you're giving a kid a super hard drug, which is actually a Schedule 1 or 2 narcotic. And, it's always weird to me, like, so you're giving a kid, like, a stimulant that has ADHD. How does, like, being stimulated more make you calm? I don't understand. But it's horrible. I mean, first of all, the parents got to do more research. You can't just blindly trust. Right off the bat, you should not blindly trust,
Yeah.
that.
Well, I think, you go back to those time frames where it's like, your ability to trust your doctor, your local, physician, pediatric doctor was so much higher than it is now. And,
Yeah.
well, hey, if Dr. Smith says that this is going to work, then let's give it a whirl.
Yeah.
And not really even understanding the long-term impact on the emotional and the cognitive and, just all these different layers. And that's kind of what it goes back to with introducing pharmaceuticals into your life. Really, any study out there, like, you have to kind of second guess because it's unique to you. One, you have your own DNA and biochemistry, but it's like you just can't take something and not expect it to impact something else. And I think, I'm sure probably a lot of those parents who did put their kids on medicine probably have some regret, if they're educated now and they understand that this was just John wanting to be a kid.
Yeah.
Versus like he's got a learning disability.
Yeah.
And
the whole point.
it's fucked up because now that kid is probably still taking the same medication or had some developmental issues because of it. And so we definitely need to change the education system to get these kids out of sitting in a classroom for 8 fucking hours a day. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's it's like the opposite of like an ideal living situation where you want to be outside, you want to be in nature. And a lot of times, like, those kids that had ADHD and are fidgeting around, like, maybe if they were interested in what you were talking about, maybe they would focus.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they do. Also, too, like, exercising and getting that thing out. Like, I know just for me, it's like, if I don't exercise in a day, I got pent up.
Yeah.
Stress, energy. When I get a good session in, man, that stuff just fades away.
Yeah.
And I'm able to relax. So yeah, but giving a kid like that hard of a drug and it's going to change his brain chemistry for life. I mean, we really don't know. They're test rats, really.
And I think I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but it was before you get to college, I think it's like 85% of teachers or administrative workers within the schooling system are female.
That's another huge part.
Yeah.
You're not really getting the masculine. Oh, man. Oh, this could transition to my topic, too. But, yeah.
That is like, and because I was reading about this topic on X and related to some published papers on ADHD, and this doctor was talking about pretty much exactly what we're talking about. And there was a lot of back and forth on, well, women are doing fine, young girls are doing fine. Men need to, pick up their slack and, kind of get with the program type of thing. And it's like, you just don't, you're kind of missing the point on the figures and just the fact that like men and women are different. We need different things to kind of stimulate the brain and go throughout our day. And so you got to think, if you've got from your most formidable years, developmental years of being a kid, learning, going through the schooling system until you're 18 years old.
Yeah.
If the authority figure in that is like predominantly women all the time, like you were going to think a different way and you're kind of groomed a different way.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy, actually. Like, what would you say the negative is about having a female be teaching you?
Off the record. No, I think there's pros and cons, and I think one, I think that's just like a direct reflection of like career-wise what people are interested in. You're going to have more women kind of working on the social side of the industry, which is going to be working with children and education systems, which are, foundational jobs and aspects to, society. Like, we need people doing that. So I'm not saying we need less women doing it. I think we just need more men doing it. But we have to kind of create that as like a desirable job now. You look at schools, it's like every teacher you talk to or every person that works in the schooling system now, if you have a conversation with, they probably say, man, shit's going bad. These kids don't focus. They're disrespectful.
Always on their phones.
They don't, they don't understand the consequences of not turning your work in on time. And because I think of how the curriculum is set up and some of these educational policies, nowadays I don't even think they, in certain schooling districts, if you turn your work in late, like, it don't matter. And so now you've got kids who are high performers who are doing the right things, and then they're seeing, well, this kid's not turning his homework in on time, but he's still getting the same grade that I'm getting. Like, then why should I put in the same type of effort? And that's not fair either. And so I don't know how they level the playing field, because our child education development is piss poor right now.
It is.
So I don't know how they level that and give everyone the same opportunity to succeed. But we got to get off we just got to get off some of this like state ran bullshit education that in reality has no application to real life.
Yeah, like honestly, that's a good point. I think there's a lot of things in those early years and in the school system that are important. I think like a basic algebra, being able to add, count, and all that's very important. English, knowing how to speak and knowing like how to write is important. Communication, like a speech class is actually probably one of the most important classes
super powerful
to have. Physical education, that's been put on the back burner.
Mm-hmm.
That is literally like we're kind of evolving out of that, which is horrible because you're in your body all day. You and I clearly know if your body's not in good shape, your mind's also not in good shape.
Yeah.
It's like neglecting like one of the biggest parts. So if we're not doing that, that's red flag.
Yeah.
Think about like, and then it even goes into like college too, and it's kind of something's gonna happen, and there's already things happening. Like Jordan Peterson's starting Peterson Academy. It's already started.
There's going to be alternative forms of education
that are like accredited and worthwhile. Like Peterson Academy, for example, I think's $400 a year.
Really?
And you're learning from the greatest professors in the country, and you're not getting any of the woke ideology. You're getting like classical, philosophical things and things that actually improve your life. Thinking critically.
There's not enough of that.
It's memorization, really. It's like, can you memorize the vocab list?
Yeah.
Can you memorize the right answer? Multiple choice, standardized testing.
Yeah. Well, that kind of goes back into the ADHD stuff. There was like a 2002 No Child Left Behind policy that was, I think, from the Department of Education, and it kind of standardized everything on these rigid metrics of how they were going to, judge schooling districts on their success and efficacy, and that seemed to just put things into more of a structured program or protocol, but the intention and the end goal is wrong. And so we gotta fix that, because I mean, the youth is the future, and if these kids are not educated right, and as soon as they're hitting the working age, being able to provide something to society that can benefit people, we're gonna be in a tough spot.
Definitely. I also think like there's probably a lot of private schools that are changing.
Yeah.
With smart leaders that understand, like, let's actually give them some skill sets.
Yeah.
And there's definitely parents out there that are seeking that because they know that the current, public system is flawed.
Yeah.
But like, will be a fun exercise. Like if you had a kid, right? And you kind of had, unlimited resources per se. Like, what would be his daily schedule for optimization? For, like, growing the best person? Like, what sort of things would you implement in their schedule?
That's a good question. I think, one, you have to, like, is this kind of, like, personal for my children?
Yeah,
or
like,
just,
what do you think? I was just thinking about it while you're talking, like if you didn't have to, all right.
If I was building my own homeschool, pretty much.
It could be that, or it could be no school.
Yeah, that would be a good exercise.
I would bring my kid to the gym with me, We're gonna do some physical. We're gonna get some physical activity out.
Yep.
I think after that is when we're gonna set up some sort of faith-based learning, maybe, or reading or something like that. Setting some intentions, and then I think, maybe having like a small community school to like teach them maybe sort of just like the basic values, some sort of. And I'm not the person to necessarily ask about like what those things are, but I think like having a community is important too.
Yeah.
Playing's huge for a kid, like being able to just go out and explore.
And especially if they're able to do that with other kids.
Yes.
You have to have that interaction. You got to learn how to be social and make friends. And, you just have to let kids be kids. If you keep them in boxes and tell them to not interact with certain people or whatever and kind of drown their mind a little bit before they can figure out some of these things by themselves, like, because the kids don't know any better. So just let them do what they need to do, and then you are the guider. You guide them down the path versus tell them what to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like they're so malleable. They're like a blank slate.
Yeah.
And things are going to impact them and influence them real early.
I think you also have to be, you have to be so positive for your child, and if they want to be the fucking president of the United States, hey, we're going to make you the president of the United States.
Yeah.
And I think you have to give these kids belief that they can achieve whatever they want. And not saying all educators are like this, but I've heard stories many times. What is going on with all these birds?
We got a squirrel
fight. There's like 5 of them up there. But like, if you've got a teacher who is not cheering for you and like not there to support you, like that is huge for a child. Like if you don't feel like they're in your corner and they want you to be the best and they're going to give you the platform to be the best, then like that's not good either. And so I think you kind of have some people that are saying the wrong things, and you also got some losers teaching people.
I was about to say that. Yeah, like some of the clips, you'll kind of only see the worst side of things, especially on the internet, but like some of these teachers putting up the LGBTQ flag. Let's take down the American flag because it's fascist and all this shit. It's
like you were in the wrong fucking job.
Yeah, it's like, damn, how serious that is. Like, it's just like, wow. It's almost like, I get like private school, whatever it costs. Like, shit, it's probably worth it. And you got to investigate that. Being a parent's probably tough as hell.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many fronts where. And then it goes into the idea, like, when do you kind of expose your kid to, like, how cruel the world is? Because you don't want your kid to grow up being, like, fucking...
Dad, the chemtrails.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want a kid who's so naive where he kind of gets taken advantage of, maybe.
Yeah.
But you also don't want the kid to be like, holy shit.
Yeah, like questioning. Yeah, I don't know. That would be a tough one. I think you got to just navigate that as it comes.
Yeah, you got to have a good partner on your side.
Yeah. Do you think that's why, people shit on homeschooling? And I think now it's kind of becoming a little bit more of a realistic option for certain families. But prior to that, like, there was always this weird, that kid's homeschooled. Like, he's weird.
Yeah.
It's like he's not going to be social.
He's the other.
Yeah. The black sheep. And you wonder kind of why people felt that way without even knowing what was actually going on. It's like, you're not in the school your parents are teaching you? That's weird. You're not going to make it out
now it's
right.
Like they're probably smart.
Yeah, because it's also bizarre to think, like, from 6 to 18, 8 hours a day for 8 months out of the year, like, there is someone else teaching you pretty much how to be an adult.
Yeah.
And like, if that is a bad messenger, then like that kid's going to be bad and it's going to have the wrong perception of the world.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
So I think we have to freaking clean the slate of these low IQ, mouth-breathing teachers. Get them out of there. And get people in here who know what they're talking about and are good stand-up citizens in their community, which a lot of teachers are, and they don't get enough credit for that. There's also a lot of bad ones. who are in it for their own personal gain, whether it's they're dealing with their own identity crisis and they want to project that onto a child.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what we talking about, like the bad videos we've seen of these just freaking crazy teachers. And it's like, how, like if you were to go into like a meet the teacher, it's like that first week of class and you walk in there and there's a fucking trans flag and LGBTQ flag, no American flag, and all these pronouns and shit. It's like, I'm not letting my kid be exposed to this.
Yeah. And the male figure wouldn't, you'd think a good female partner would like see that as wrong, but most times women are more like accepting of that. And this goes into kind of the Jordan Peterson topic that he was on Rogan. He kind of talked about how women have like indiscriminate empathy for people. So like you think about what are the greatest, things about women? It's like their empathy, their caringness, their ability to raise a kid. And so in kind of his lens, and it makes a lot of sense to me, it's like the woman sees everything as like a crying baby. And they're like, we got to make the baby stop. But even like, we talk to our parents that like they would leave us in the room to cry sometimes. It's like that baby, us, which is crazy. It's like, we're going to cry because we want something.
Yeah.
And at first it's like, yeah, we're a baby. We need a lot of attention. So we can't fend for ourselves.
We can't do anything.
We literally laying on our back and we want to be held. We want food. We want to shit, It's like we're going to cry for that. But then it comes to a point where we realize we're like, oh, if I cry, I get this.
Yeah.
So women kind of see everything as a crying baby. At least they're kind of inclined that way. And he brought it all the way back to the Adam and Eve story in the Bible, where, and this will all wrap back around, but like the serpent in the garden, Satan, goes up to Eve and kind of tells her to eat the apple from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And the serpent, like, apparently she like clutches the serpent to her breast and like believes the serpent and gets, convinced. And she eats the apple and then she tells Adam like, hey, this is what we need to do. And Adam, being the stupid man he is, agrees with her. Where this is the part where the strong man needs to say no to the crying baby sometimes.
Yeah.
So in the homeroom, the man's like, no, honey, go to the meet the teacher. I don't care. And she's like, oh, okay, that's kind of weird, but I'm sure they're good people. It's like, no, you're the man. You walk in, you see that? Get the kid out.
Put your foot down.
Yeah, and so this like kind of goes into like, obviously more women are more liberal, men are more conservative, and the liberal side kind of gets hijacked by all these like woke warriors, like everyone's a victim, we need to help every victim. It's like, no, that person just wants power, and they're using this identity politics to gain that power, and you need these strong men to say, no, that's bullshit. We can't have a fucking men in the women's locker room, because that's a psychopath who clearly has different motives than what you think. You think this is just, let's be nice. They think they're a woman. Let them go to the bathroom like they're a victim. No, that's a predator going into the female's bathroom. Like, let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
And
Preach.
Dude, I'm just reiterating what Jordan Peterson said, which is, he's awesome. He's such a smart guy, an important voice. Yeah, so... yeah, it's just crazy because it kind of opened my eyes like, oh, wow. The very first Genesis story in the Bible is this Adam and Eve story, and there's so much to unpack in that.
Yeah.
And this is just one aspect of it. And it goes back to the man, because Adam goes along with it because, the guy wants to be with the woman and women are beautiful and, pleasurable and all this stuff. It's like, but you have to stand up for what you know is right. And it's, it's interesting.
I do kind of remember that. Yeah, I think Cal just got back home. Yeah, I remember like it was always the moms were always showing up to the classes, and the dads were kind of gone. And yeah, that is kind of interesting to think about. And I also think back on like some of the most influential educators that I've had, and there's definitely some great women teachers that I've had, but like the ones that instantly come to mind are like these male figures that I've had.
Really?
I remember Mr. Stark, 5th grade.
Yeah.
Like he was like he was like your dad in there.
Mm-hmm.
He was just like a cool dad, and he loved sports, and I thought he was great because we could connect. And so I think that kind of goes back to like you can learn. I feel like you learn a lot easier from people who you can connect with.
100%.
And if there's a woman in there that's just saying things that you just don't ever hear, or things that just you can't really internalize, and okay, I kind of get what they're saying, or yeah, we've got some commonality, but like most of the time it's not going to be that case.
It's definitely like the part of the educator that's their whole point, is to educate, to be able to connect to a kid. So yeah, it's a tough job to do.
It is a tough job.
But I also honestly didn't have like really any male teachers. Because, I mean, I didn't have Mr. Stark or anything like that. So when I think back to my most influential teachers, they're all women.
Yeah. And that's totally fine, too.
Yeah. No, I'm brainwashed. Just kidding.
Yeah. But I don't know how the school system will change.
I think, like, Trump disbanding the Department of Education's big. Because then it goes into the overall ideas, like, the government actually, like, teaching you what's best for you. No, they don't care about that.
Yeah.
Like if the government's deciding what you need to learn, yeah, it's just like, let's have the local people decide.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want Washington, D.C. to decide that we need to have the queer book in the library.
Yeah.
I mean, we could go down this.
Let's put up 12 Rules for Life as the Scholastic Book Fair.
Yeah. Required reading, 1st grade.
Yeah.
So it's a crazy front, but it'll evolve. People are getting fed up, and but yeah, pray for the kids nowadays, man.
Yeah, the kids, poor kids, and they're, especially after this COVID stuff, their ability to learn. And yeah, I mean, I see it. I interact with kids pretty often at work, and a lot of them are just fucking stupid. They're just so dumb.
Well, yeah. I think I kind of had this thought. Remind me of, like, this thing Kanye West said.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and so it makes me think. And I'm not saying I agree with Kanye West on a lot of stuff, because he's kind of a crazy guy. But, I think we're old enough and mature enough to have nuanced conversations.
Correct.
And that's how it should be. We shouldn't judge people, people are so varied, right? But what he said on this podcast with Lex Friedman, and they were talking about, obviously, like, the atrocities of the stuff that happened in World War II and all this stuff. And it's like, should we teach kids racism, like, in school? Like, should we, in the classroom, teach that, like, that we have differences, and, like, this is the past of, like, us, like, pitted against each other based on the differences? Or should we, like, preach that we're all the same, we're human beings, we all bleed red, and we're all Americans? And, like, should we just kind of, like, change the mind frame of, like, let's stop focusing on the differences.
Yeah.
Let's focus on what makes us, human, and all of our similarities, and we're all part of it together.
I like that. Yeah. I mean,
think that was when he was running for president. He might not believe that shit.
Yeah. But no, I think that is important. If you're always highlighting the differences, then people are just always going to feel different. And that's not to say that, like, we can't touch on differences, because people are unique, and everyone has their own family, and everyone has their own struggles, and
the culture's different.
The cultures are different. I don't know how you operate within that. I think it certainly makes it harder when we're dealing with such a culturally diverse group of people. Where it's like, if you've got a classroom full of 30 kids, you got 5 white kids, you got 5 black kids, 5 Hispanic, 5 Chinese, whatever the split is, like, it's harder to get, I feel like, some of those people united, versus if you've got you know, I don't know what the ratio would look like, but I think because there's so many different cultures within the system, within the United States, we almost have no culture anymore, if that makes sense.
I see what you're saying. It's like the melting pot that is America.
And I feel like it just got washed out where maybe in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, there was a lot of patriotism and people coming to the United States. They're, hey, we are an American and we want, you know, we bleed for the United States. And like, that's how it should be versus assimilation, pretty much. Versus now it's like you get people coming over and it's like, well, I live in America, but I'm this back home and I'm going to live that way versus hey, you come to the U.S., like you can certainly be your own person. But like, if you're in the U.S., like you should be an American and should be pro-America. Doesn't mean you have to blindly agree with everything that goes on, because we certainly raise our voices when we disagree with things, and that's how everyone should be. But I feel like it's harder to get people all on the same page if there's like 20 different cultures fighting for power almost.
No, I agree. I think that is like maybe one of the vulnerabilities of freedom. You're going to have to deal with like the chaos of that. And that's what, you know, America stands for. It's like the freedom. We have freedom here. So you have the freedom to, you know, practice your religion, whatever that might be. It could be crazy. It could be Scientology. It could be Satanism.
Yeah.
Maybe you have that one should be eliminated.
Yeah, you've got the same rights as the person who's going to church every Sunday, right?
Yeah, and then there's like the freedom of speech too. It's like just because, oh man, the founding fathers, man, they were on some shit because they thought of some great ideas.
Yeah.
Like even if like there's a racist, right, and he's spewing hate, you have to be willing to have that, to have the freedom of speech, because it's just such a slippery slope.
Yeah.
If you decide that one person you can't say this sort of thing, then it's like, it gets down bad after that. But I think like there's just not, I think now, even with Trump, it's difficult, but like having a leader, be it the president, to embrace the American ideals of like freedom and hard work and celebrate the differences between people, and having that be the identity.
Yeah.
Like we're all different in our own ways, but that's good. But we come together over like, this is America, and we love this country.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I remember doing the, you know, national anthem every morning at school and doing the Pledge of Allegiance to the Texas flag.
Yeah.
And I remember watching kids sit down, and like that bothered me a little bit. And
yeah, that was
even
weird.
at sporting events now, it's like, you know, you take off your fucking hat when we're singing the national anthem and you stand, and it's like people just don't. It's also weird.
It's disrespectful.
And this can kind of go back to when Trump won in 2016, and again this past election. And you get all these people saying, "Oh, if he wins, I'm going to move out of the country. You know, I'm going to leave and do all these things." Then fucking do it. Like, we've got too many people here shitting on our country.
Yeah.
And being so anti-American and disrupting the flow of everyone else who is trying to prosper and stand for the values of the West.
Yep.
Like, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm tired of seeing it, and I think we're kind of getting to that level where we're getting people out of the country who, one, don't deserve to be here or are here illegally. But it's frustrating. But they have the same right. Like, if I'm upset at someone not standing up for the national anthem, sure, I can be upset about it, but they have the right to do that. Yeah. And if we exist in a state where that person gets jailed for not standing, I don't want that either.
No, yeah, that's way too far.
But it's just like, yeah, it's frustrating to just see all these people shit on the place that we live and don't do anything about trying to improve it other than just, you know, yap.
Brother, I mean, it's like those people need to take a trip to somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I've only been to like Belize in South America.
But that was a huge cultural difference for you.
Completely. And then you come back to America and you're like, holy crap, like, we got it so good here.
Yeah.
We literally hit the lottery. If you were born in America, you hit the lottery.
Yeah.
And so
I mean,
you really don't realize how great
at this
you
point,
got it. Yeah. Until you it's like the grass is always greener phrase.
Yeah.
You think that, yeah, but it's like, man. And then, yeah, there's something about just like the national anthem. If you sit down for that, it's like, oh, like freaking all those people that put their life on the line to protect our country. And it's like, man.
You're spitting on their grave.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
crazy.
And that's, I feel like we've talked about this before, but like that flyover, just like the patriotism and being like so, I think it's so fucking cool.
Yeah. Agreed.
But yeah, we got to get some of these bad actors out. It's like, go move. Go leave. I don't care.
I think it's hard to kick people out, right? But I think more importantly is like the education of it, and like the good ideas need to be presented more, and like all this, all the bad ones and like the anti-American ideals and all that shit. It's just like we need to present the best ideas over that.
Yeah.
To get people to understand that stuff. But
would you ever become a teacher? Like, let's say the things the transition is beginning, and they're like, we're getting a lot of these teachers out, we're getting the curriculum changed, we're preparing these people to be, great citizens of the world and learning skills and attributes that are meaningful.
Yeah, no.
Like, would you take a role in that if presented?
No, I wouldn't, but, maybe in another life, yeah. Because even in my time being, working at summer camps and all that stuff and just being around the youth, it's a transformative experience because I got to see, like, certain children that, maybe had one parent in the household or were considered problem kids or whatever, and you got to meet their parents or meet the parent. You kind of, like, put two and two together.
Yeah.
Like, of just how important that is, and just how they literally look up to you. You're in their life, and they think of you as a superhero, like bigger than life. Like you're having fun playing kickball with them, and
Dad can kick the kickball so far.
Yeah,
and it's like they love that.
Yeah, and so it's a huge role. It's a huge role to teach a kid.
Do you think that should be? We kind of think about like rites of passage. And life, and it's like what are some steps that you need to do or experiences you need to have to be the most well-rounded human being? And like I think one is working in service, like service industry. Like, not saying you got to go be a bartender or be a waiter or a hostess, but you have to work with people in some capacity in customer service just to learn how to communicate with people who need something from you when you're providing a service. Because I think that just gives you a much more well-rounded perspective of how people operate.
True.
And if it's the first time you've ever gone with that, it's going to be like, oh my God, like this is super intense. Like, why are people like this? But I don't know. I think service industry is one, but kind of going back, I think working with children, not everyone.
Yeah.
Because we got some weirdos out there.
True.
And they need to be vetted. But like even last night, like we had someone cleaning our pool, doing some maintenance and service on our pool, and he brought his younger daughter out here, and
you came out here and
she cut her knee a little bit. She fell and she didn't care, and she just wanted to keep playing and got her Band-Aid. And the kids are just so like, it's just crazy, the whole process of having a kid and it being a little coming out of a woman's belly 9 months later and growing and developing into a person. I think it's the coolest thing ever. Truly a miracle of life. And
that's how we're all here.
Yeah. And just kids can be so freaking awesome because, we always remember being one. And it's like you want them to be able to have fun and live and be healthy and make good decisions and, just appreciate all the emotions that we go through as human beings. And I would love to teach. I've kind of already been in somewhat of a educational teaching role the last 4 or 5 years with being a personal trainer and working with kids in all different walks of life. And it's really cool, like teaching a kid something that that they can use later in life.
Yeah, definitely. And then It's awesome. It's so cool.
And that's you remember when like we got a lot of cousins,
Uh-huh.
and it's like, you know, when you're the older cousin, you got the young cousins who are always wanting to hang out around you and ask you questions, and you know, sometimes we kind of dismiss them because we don't want to, you know, hang out with little kids, but you know,
you take them under your wing, give them some advice, give them some wisdom.
Yeah.
And
because they grow up fast.
They do.
We got Parker's starting college soon, and I remember just taking him on drives in the Dodge Charger, and he wanted to learn everything about cars. And
that's like one of the things about younger kids and everything. That's something that I try to incorporate in kind of how I go about my life, is like having that childlike curiosity.
Yeah.
Especially like if you can humble yourself and like just ask kind of dumb questions to adults or people, like a mentor or someone that you genuinely like, you want to seek some wisdom from, and just like be so curious about it. And most of the times they'll tell you a lot of good information.
Yeah.
About stuff,
and I feel like you learn best when you are curious.
Yeah.
Like you need to have a little bit of skin in the game on how does this work versus someone just like trying to speak to you, you know?
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yep. It's a good combo. How long have we been going? A little over an hour.
Nice.
Yeah. Joe Rogan says like he views adults as like he sees them as babies that have grown up. And I thought about that. I'm like, it's so true. It's like,
well, yeah, it is true.
No shit. But like, if you just think about like that once was a baby that had all these experiences in their life, and that's how they are today. That's why they are today. And it kind of makes it easier to like deal with certain people.
Yeah.
Especially if you know like their past. I'm trying to think of an example, but like if you knew someone that had like a rough childhood or something, and that they might be more aggressive or sensitive or whatever it is, and you kind of understand that like they're that way because of their experience, and you kind of have more empathy for them.
Yeah.
And everyone's had something that's happened to them, but we just need to all love each other. Let's run in a field with our hands held.
Sing Kumbaya.
Yeah.
The sunflowers.
Drink the Kool-Aid.
Drink the Kool-Aid.
Well, there's another couple things that I had listed to talk about. I don't think we had an off-the-leash segment, but that's all good. This is just a thought question. What's harder, lifting 300 pounds or admitting you're struggling?
What?
What is more difficult to do? To lift like really heavy weight or to admit that you're struggling as a man? Like to sit down and be like, look, dude, I'm in a bad place.
Oh.
I'd say that is harder to do.
Yeah, I'd say that's, I mean, not very many people lifting 300 pounds, but...
Or whatever weight it could be. Just a heavy weight. Like, if you think about it, it's like being emotionally vulnerable. That's like a pro. Being a man is like you're the stable, you're the rock, and you're strong, and you're steady, and all this stuff. But like when you're bad, and you can be a little vulnerable with your emotions,
and not keep it all
internalized.
Not
push it down and then like explode one day. I think that's a huge thing that we need to maybe, appreciate and take more from women.
Yeah,
that openness and emotional vulnerability.
Well, I think it's, will the West ever accept the fact that, like, men are struggling? Because, I mean, it's not like things have changed. Like,
yeah,
most men die early, victims of violent crimes die in the military, police officers, suicide rates, occupational death, everything is high for men. Incarceration rate. I mean, so drug usage, alcoholism, everything bad, men are leading the categories in. And so, like, will that ever change?
Probably not.
Probably not.
It's our nature, but I think it's just, like, important that like there's so many, like, especially when we talk about the youth and growing up and all that stuff, it's like we need to understand the importance of like being a healthy man and what that means.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, because I think we need more healthy men leading that charge.
yeah.
And I think that's where it's like the responsibility of certain people who have platforms, and athletes are really good at this, of like laying the framework about what it takes to get to the best as a man and hold these values, and still be respectful and still be an authoritative voice, but not through violence, but through leading by action. And I think that's what we need more of. And you could funnel that back down to the education system of not having enough strong males in there saying, hey, we got to do this.
Yeah.
We got to do this. We struggle with these things. And I think you can find that in like church groups and stuff. Being able to talk about a lot of those vulnerabilities that we struggle with.
Mm-hmm. Having like a group of guys that, you can kind of be like, man, I'm just like dealing with this. I'm like not in the gym like I want to be.
Yeah.
Like, I'm dealing with this relationship thing. Like, man, just, I don't know what to do. And then you can have, like, maybe some conversation about that. And they can uplift you. And like, man, don't worry about her.
Yeah.
Let's go out here. Let's have a good time. And you're good, man.
Yeah. I think, yeah. And like, if you've got, like, a good male group of friends around you, or brothers, or, close with your dad or whatever, I think we do have a lot of those conversations. I know we're pretty good with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But even then, it can be hard to admit your closest friend. It can still be hard to like admit struggles to.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to learn to be open, and you got to realize too that it's the human condition. We all struggle with a lot of the same things. And you think that, yeah, your situation is unique to you and it's personalized to you, but it can look the exact same for your neighbor down the street, who's struggling with a lot of the same things. So really the scary thing, man, is like the suicide rates, and like that being so, that's like just a strange phenomenon of life. I saw
this study that said that isolation is equivalent to smoking cigarettes, like in terms of negative health impact. Like being isolated has that same impact, and it's true. It's like we need to be with people. Yeah, we need to socialize, and nowadays it's harder. It definitely is a harder thing to do, but yeah, I'm seeking out more of that community and trying to figure out what that's going to be for me. But just having like you, Cal, Cody, some other buddies, like seeing the guys, like hanging out with the guys is so important.
Yeah.
Just to let loose a little bit and just like.
Yeah, it's almost the same thing about being like an 8-year-old kid. Hey, go play with the buddies, go run around. We got to play.
Play is huge.
We got to go lift. We got to go watch some sports. We got to talk some shit.
Yeah.
We got to rag on each other, but when someone falls down, you're picking them back up. Yeah, 100%. We have to have a return to that. And I think for me, a lot of that kind of starts in the gym, finding like-minded guys to fucking go through the grind with. And I got that yesterday, and it was good to, normally work out by myself. I know you work out by yourself. If you've got some friends to work out with, I mean, I think Cody and Mason, two of my workout partners, turned into two of my best friends.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the same path of, hey, let's go work out together. And,
yeah.
You develop relationships with that because you're pushing each other, and, you create a high standard for someone who you really like and you want them to do well, and you're going to hold them to that standard. It's like, hey, you're missing the gym, or, you're not pushing hard enough. And it's not just all weight translate. Hey, you need to get stronger muscles. It's like, why are you loafing here? Like, what's up with the poor effort?
Yeah.
Why aren't you as focused or locked in on developing your craft or being more disciplined and being more consistent with things that we all know bring positive habits out of it?
100%.
So I think for me, that's always been my starting point. Just because I think we love sports. We love, interacting and being physical and being outside.
Yeah.
Playing golf is a great way to go about that.
Yeah, we need to get a golf crew.
Yeah. We need some more subscribers so we can just start playing golf every day.
Yeah.
Don't have to work.
Pay us money, please.
Yeah. I think, too, social media has kind of made it a weird thing where people can just, like, talk shit about anyone. Strangers especially. And it's like you want to be more uplifting to others.
Ideally, yeah. I mean, really, it's like the hurt people saying. Like, why are you on Twitter just hating?
And
being a
talking
hater.
shit about people all the time. Always have something. Those people that always have something negative to say.
Yeah.
It's like those are the worst type of people to be around.
Yeah.
Like they are.
It's contagious.
It sucks the energy out of you. It's
contagious.
You never want to be around the person who's complaining all the time or always a victim. It's got to stick up their ass. It's like, chill out, bro. Chill out, lady.
Chill out, bro. Get in the ice bath.
Yeah. Get in the ice bath. Take some CBD.
Yeah.
Lay off. A bunch of squirrels out here.
It's a nice day.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to work out today.
I'm not.
Taking a day off?
Yeah, I've trained 5 days in a row. Played golf yesterday. I'll be down to play some more golf today. Love golf.
I'd be down too.
Golf is just so great. And that's like, golf is a great test of someone's patience and I think a direct reflection of the conversations they have with themselves.
Damn.
I mean, it's solo sport. It's only you. There's pressure involved.
What do you mean, like it's someone's patience? Like,
well, it's like you hit a bad tee shot.
Yeah.
Or you hit a bad shot. And it's like, fuck, I'm going to hit another bad shot. I'm going to miss this putt. And like going back into kind of what we talked about last night with the visualization and manifesting good things in your life. If you're always thinking about missing the shot, you're going to miss the shot.
Yeah.
If you're always thinking about shanking it or
100%.
whatever negative thing, if you're always thinking about the negative, then you're going to have the negative happen. But if you believe that you can, man, I can hit this 5 feet next to the pin. Yeah. I'm going to hit this right in the fairway. Create the shot that you want. Like, things typically work out that way.
Yeah. Oh, that's huge. I've been at the point where I've gotten real mad after I've hit a bad shot.
Yeah.
And it's no fun. It's like you want to be able to just let it go. That's another part.
Letting it go.
Yeah, I hit a bad shot, whatever. On to the next one. And not dwell on it.
A bad shot is not a bad round.
Yeah.
The same way a bad day is not a bad week versus a bad week not being a bad month. People get caught up and they let it.
Pain is temporary.
Yeah, they let that snowball effect, and then everything is bad.
Yeah.
And that's when that kettle needs to be taken off the pot.
Yeah. That's when the first nooner gets cracked.
Yeah. Yeah. So we gotta just keep it chill sometimes. And I feel like I've been on both ends of that spectrum where it's like you can just have so much going on and just like everything seems to be just like the next trigger to the next bad reaction or next bad thought. Yes. It's like sometimes you just got to freaking take a breath and be like, is this really worth getting this upset about? Like, am I going to explode here and feel this level of regret after the fact? It's like you want to avoid those things. So take a breath, go outside, look into the sun, get some grass on your feet, drink some water, eat some protein.
Take care of yourself. Be nice to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's always so much negativity out there. And if you're your own worst enemy, it's not going to be good.
Nope. I think that's a good stopping point there.
Yeah, that was a good one today.
Yeah. Hopefully, if you guys are listening, you got something good out of it, give us a like, share, subscribe.
If you got any questions or things you want us to talk about,
yeah, throw a comment down there. Shoot a text, shoot a Instagram comment or DM.
Also, if you're struggling and you need someone to talk to, plenty of outlets for that. Always willing to talk to anyone who's got questions or struggling. Because you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly, I feel like a lot of people, kind of going back to the isolation thing, they feel isolated. They feel like their problems are only to them and they can't talk to anyone. Not saying you need to go get a therapist. Sometimes a lot of this can be solved by a nice gym training session. But
that is quote to live by.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to find yesterday, this quote. It was like no calm sea ever made a captain.
Yep.
And I think that's like it's like you're going to go through some shit.
Yeah.
But you're going to come out being that captain. And so you just got to weather the storm and keep your head down and keep fucking going.
Let's go. Next episode, we got a good one. We got another guest.
Maybe my first tattoo on the spot?
Oh, okay.
Nah.
Yeah, we're going to have our my tattoo artist, Jules. We're going to interview her over at the tattoo spot on Tuesday morning.
Yeah. Are we going to release it on Tuesday?
No, I think we'll release it Saturday. Yeah. And
maybe a little teaser clip.
Yeah. Give the people something to get excited for. But it should be a good combo. Hopefully you guys like it. First female in a while. First female that we've interviewed together. Give us a little bit of a contrast.
Yeah. To our male-dominated podcast.
Yeah, I looked at like the analytics. It's like
a lot of men.
Yeah.
It's all right.
It's okay.
Yeah.
There's
We're
also,
not speaking for the women.
There's also a lot of viewers that aren't subscribed. Come on, guys.
I will find you.
Should we play golf today? I don't know if Cal can.
Yeah, we'll look at the tee times here.
All right.
Good one.
Good shit.